Our last guest of the night is a true living legend. Best known for his work in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where he played all the Oompa-Loompas. His work in The Dark Crystal, The Never-Ending Story, Doctor Who, and multiple roles in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, including Yoda. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for Deep Roy!
Thank you.
Oh my lord! Grab a seat, sit.
Where's the apple box?
We really should get him an apple. Something? I got get him a box of donuts. That's perfect. Hey, we got a stool. Look at that. Deep Roy, everybody! Now, Deep Roy, we've been talking all fucking night about you. We've been very, very excited. There are so many. You've played so many roles and done so much cool stuff. But how did you start out? Where did you grow up?
The whole 4 feet 4 inches in Nairobi, Kenya.
In Nairobi, Kenya?
Yes.
Oh, in Nairobi, Kenya.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Watch my lips when I talk. Nairobi, Kenya.
Did you do any acting as a kid? When did you start acting?
I started when I moved to London. Actually, my dad sent me to London from Kenya to be an accountant.
Really?
Yes, he wanted me to be an accountant. So I failed in taxation. I passed in taxation, I failed in company law. I said, this is freaking boring. So I decided, I said to my dad, I think I'm going to join the drama school. So I quit after 3 months. And my dad said, now what? I said, I want to be a comedian. He said, it's a joke. So that's how it started.
So you started as a comedian?
Yes, stand-up.
Doing stand-up?
Yeah.
Where were you doing stand-up comedy?
London. I started in London.
What were some of your jokes? Do you remember any of your jokes from that?
They're all small jokes, man. So I can't. You know, I got such a short memory. I can't even remember what happened yesterday.
What was your first? I mean, we did a little.
Yeah, like one of your first credits is you played an assassin in a Pink Panther movie.
Yes, my first movie was with Peter Sellers, Pink Panther.
Wow! Unbelievable!
I think that was in 1975.
Yeah, that must have been amazing.
It was, you know, to work with the legend, the funniest guy. You know, I mean, it was amazing to be working with Peter Sellers as a first movie.
Then you went on to be in Doctor Who at that time with the best doctor, Tom Baker, Dr. Man.
We have a picture. Do we have a picture of it?
And you were,
Yeah.
it's a great episode. Now you were in heavy prosthetics there, obviously. Was that your first time in a lot of makeup? Because you've done that a lot in your career now.
Yeah, I know, but that was the first one.
Was it like
the first ever television thing that I did? No, the second one. The first one was the New Ventures.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
So, but this was the second television stuff I did.
So when you're filming,
I did the whole season, the 7 episodes with Tom Baker. I thought he was the best doctor in my opinion.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
Now, how long did that take in makeup every day when you're going to film that? Like you're in there for a couple hours, or?
Well, it took just about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Wow, that's really amazing. I mean, one of the first, I know one of your first big movies after Pink Panther stuff was Flash Gordon. We have a picture of you. There you are in Flash Gordon. Yeah.
So cool, man. What was that set like? I mean, Flash Gordon's one of the coolest movies.
It was actually, you know.
Was it a fun? Was it a
It
fun
was
set?
fun, you know, and Brian Blessed was funny.
Yeah.
You know,
He was Zoltan,
Yes, he
leader
was
of the
Zoltan.
Hawk people.
Yeah. Cool guy.
For those of you who don't know,
Now,
almost all of you.
what's always been really curious to me, and this is what's so cool about Deep Roy, is that when you meet him and you start looking at credits, you're like, oh, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? So you go that maybe you have that one, or you go Never Ending Story, you know, totally. That's the one, or this one or that one. But since we first met, we met in this club, you and I.
Yes.
We met at the bar like 12 years ago. I was doing stand-up one night, and I said to you at the bar, would you consider coming up on stage with me? I'll tell everyone you're my best friend, and then I'll sing a song about you at the piano, and then you can dance and tell some jokes. And you were like, fuck yeah, see you in 2 seconds, right? And you came in, we had never met prior to that. It was just like down for it, just in on the joke, ready to have a good time.
Yeah.
And this audience lost their minds when you came up on stage. And it was right after Willy Wonka too. And that night I found out that you had been in Star Wars, but the only thing I knew is that you had been in Jabba the Hutt's band in Star Wars playing Droopy McCool. Right. What I did not realize until like a few days ago is that you were also Yoda.
Yes, the walking Yoda, they did the
We can
walking
look that
Yoda.
up.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, you know, when they first asked me to do Yoda, they said to me I was too tall. Yeah, really, that's what happened. They said I was too tall. And I said, wow, great, man. At least. And then they said to me, can you walk on your knees? I said, I do all the time. So we gave you the knee pads. They gave me the knee pads, so I walked on my knees. So that's awesome.
That's amazing. That is incredible, man. That's amazing. Come on. That's outrageous. And I know you also jumped in, you played a couple other roles in the movie too. You subbed in for R2-D2 a few times?
I did, yes, because, you know, after lunchtime, Kenny Baker had too much to drink.
He's not the first person to say that.
And he had too much to drink, and the first lady, Dave Tomley, will go, Jeep, get into there. I said, well, that's not, yeah. And he says, get in there. I said, oh, it's not made for me. I'm just too small, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean, I'm choking in there. You know, Kenny Baker was like 3'6". I was trying to take one of him.
Did you ever bully him? Just stop drinking.
No, I didn't. Good.
What else did you do on Star Wars? Did you also do an Ewok? Or
I
no?
did Ewoks. That was the Return of the
Jedi. Yeah, Return of the Jedi,
you
yeah.
know. I did about 7 of them. Each time they kill me.
So you were in the famous death scene
Exactly.
where they lingered on you for 30 seconds.
Dave Tomlin will go, next one. I said, well, I just got killed. He said, you do another one.
Tell us a little bit about what that set was like of being on Return of the Jedi.
It was a great set, you know. I mean, at EMI Studios, they build great sets, you know. I mean, it was amazing.
What was Lucas like to work with?
One of the nicest guys, you know. Lucas was amazing. Amazing.
You know, I know this is a little off subject, but you know, my mom, you know, my mom for my bar mitzvah wrote to George Lucas and asked George Lucas to come to my bar mitzvah.
Did he?
He sent a letter back in the mail that said, I'm so sorry I won't be able to attend your son's bar mitzvah. I wouldn't want to upstage him on such an important day. Here's a check for $100. Signed George Lucas.
There you go.
Here's the best part. I ran into George Lucas recently, and I told him the story, and as I told him this story, his head retracted so far. he couldn't have wanted to get out of that conversation more. And I was like, it's such a sweet story. And he was just like, okay. Just like, I wanted to get away.
In his defense, that's how most people are when you bring up.
That's true. That's possible. Okay, let's talk about you worked with Jim Henson. You worked with
Yes,
the Henson Company.
and Brian Henson.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson and Frank Oz.
Yeah. When you were working with now you also worked on
Return to Oz.
Return to Oz.
Yes.
Now, in Return to Oz, this has always been a question I've wanted to ask. Okay, so that's who you're credited as, is
Yes,
the Tin Man.
the Tin Man.
So how is this you? What were you doing?
How is this you?
What
was
were you
this?
doing?
This was me like a Tin Man.
Yeah, is that you but a Tin Man?
Yeah.
Well
How
put.
were you in this costume? What were you doing with this?
To put it on me and you.
But like, is your head in the
Yeah,
head?
the hands and.
Oh, your hands in the head.
Yes.
Okay, so you're like puppeteering the
Yes.
head, and like you're
Yeah.
inside the body.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a huge.
Because we're wondering, like, you don't have a really long, skinny neck, which is what you need.
You're
to
like,
have that
how does your head fit through the head?
Like, that's made for a
Yeah,
giraffe.
they put it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, with your hands up here. You were like Big Bird. You were like Big Bird in this.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the remaining arm? How did you control that?
Oh, that's coming from that's
Brent,
Brent
it's asking
Weinbach is
about
out there. He was
Yeah.
asking about the other arm.
It's like if one arm's in the head, what's the other arm doing?
I think the other
Yeah, that
arm
arm
is
was
holding
still,
his axe.
you know, you can
Still.
still, there was still, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. What about Neverending Story? Now, Neverending Story was shot in Germany.
In Germany, in
Yeah.
Munich.
Yeah, there's an interview
Yeah.
where they interviewed a couple of the cast members who were American cast members.
seen
You've
this,
seen this
yeah.
fucking interview? It's so funny. And they're interviewing them and asking them all the questions in German, and they're just dying in this interview. And it's in front of a live audience, and they have the snail that they
Yeah,
ride out
yeah,
on the
they did,
snail.
yeah.
Talk with us a little bit about this. Do we have any pictures of him in Neverending Story? No, that's
No.
fine.
Thank you.
Maybe take a look up Teeny Weeny.
We spared no expense to bring you
Neverending Story. Tell us a little bit about Neverending Story, because that was such a
Well, you know,
amazing
when
project.
I was asked, to work with Wolfgang Peterson,
Yeah.
at that time, they didn't have, I'm talking about 1979. That was done. The movie was released in 1981.
Oh my God.
It took them 2 years, I was in Munich for about 3 months, and they had a go-kart underneath the snail.
Whoa, really?
They did, and the go-kart was controlled by special effects people. So I sat on the snail. They said we're going to do a test run. And the guy was running so fast, I fell off.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, we didn't have any,
There's no seatbelt on a
there's
snail?
no seatbelts, Plus, I didn't have a control. The guy was,
Yeah.
So, fell a few times, but when I told him, go easy, dude. So we did that, it was an amazing, it's a classic book, amazing movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second time I worked with Wolfgang Peter was, forgotten the name of the movie, dude.
Das Boot.
Das Boot?
No, I'm kidding. Okay.
So, when did you meet Tim Burton?
I met Tim Burton in, I think it was 2001. Derek, was it 2001?
Yes.
There you go, Derek. Derek is
Derek, everybody.
Derek is Tim's producer. He's produced.
Produced on lots of
Yeah,
his movies.
he
Sweeney Todd
Enough
and
about me.
oh, come
No, Derek, you did the first Dumbo. He produced.
on! Oh, he's
Dumbo.
producing Dumbo right
Yeah.
now. Come on!
Thanks, yeah, come on.
The best!
Yeah.
You're all gonna watch it.
And Derek,
I'm
if
gonna watch it.
you need someone to play an elephant,
Hey, hey, hey! I swear to God, if you
You'll
were-
totally do it.
Wait, which one of us? We'll both
do it.
We'll both do it.
We'll both happily
We'll
do
both
it.
happily audition.
I have a feather in my car.
I can fly, so friends with birds.
because you've done a few Tim Burton movies. You were in Big Fish.
I did Big Fish.
Yeah, amazing.
Planet of the Apes was the first one.
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes. That was amazing. Yeah, of course.
Big Fish. Then we did Charlie.
Charlie.
Different.
Well, what I love about you too is that you know, you've really found a way to like break out and play roles like some of these roles, like in Big Fish. You're playing really interesting, really cool characters, but then you'll also dive in every once in a while, like, you know, in Star Trek or in different movies like this, where you'll go in full facial prosthetics, like in Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
You'll jump in and do something really crazy. And I know that that's kind of a tricky thing, is playing men in suits, but also, you know, being yourself, being a character. That's got to be kind of a fine line to walk sometimes.
It is, you know, I mean, when I did Planet of the Apes, 4.5 hours of makeup.
Wow.
Yeah, 4.5 hours. You know,
Jeez.
2 people making you up.
And that was not the first time you played an ape. You were in Going
I was in,
Bananas.
I did,
No.
yes.
Yeah, you were in Going Bananas
Yeah.
with Dom DeLuise,
Dom DeLuise.
where you played the monkey.
The monkey, yeah.
The monkey that he like hangs out
Why
with
was
the
it?
whole movie.
Well, yeah, it was a chimp.
Yeah, it's a chimp. Right. So I'm so sorry.
We went to the zoo.
Stephen Cohen's
The
We
Cohen
monkey
talked to the
that,
director of the LA Zoo, and he explained the difference between monkeys and chimps. And stuff like
really
that.
screwed that
Yeah,
up. But yeah, I mean, you've played multiple monkeys and chimps and things like this, but then you've also gone on and played really fascinating, really cool characters too. It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, so when you were the Oompa-Loompas, they took you and they replicated you like hundreds of times on screen. Do you get hundreds of times the pay when they do that?
I got
'Cause you should.
thousands of times.
You should.
No, but then I did individually, you know, I mean, they did in the background. You go into the dark room, they picture image up and all that, then they multiply. But in the foreground, I did individually, I did 165 individually.
Wow.
One do another one.
Were you? But when it comes to SAG, as a SAG contract,
Yeah.
how were you contracted? Were you contracted as I play 168 characters? or-
No. You know, they looked after me.
They took care of you,
Of
though?
course they did.
Okay, good.
Good.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Cut him a check.
That's amazing. No, yeah, I just want to make sure, you know. That producer's right. I'm sorry. It's a fascinating thing, though, to play all of them. Was that the intention from the beginning, that they were going to have one person play all of
No.
them?
The whole thing was that you know, Tim wanted 7 people to dance with me to put my mask.
Oh, like your face on that.
Yeah. So they couldn't find people in proportion. Then they brought in the school kids. And you couldn't shoot with school kids with my mask onto them. And you got like 4 hours to shoot with them. Then you got to send them to school. I'm talking about the kids, not me. I'm talking about the kids. And so the answer was I said I do it myself, you know. But then again, you know, so that's how it started. And I did have to do a camera test because Tim wanted equal steps, distance-wise.
Oh, yeah, you have to learn so much choreography. You have to learn how to play different instruments. Yeah, it was a
Yes.
lot. That was a lot of work.
It was, but it was fun.
That's amazing. That's so cool. We got, come on, amazing. We got to discuss Eastbound and Down, doing Eastbound and Down.
Yes.
So fucking cool. The back,
Yeah.
what was that like? What was that like working on that?
Well, you know, when I did a audition, they put me on the camera. So I skipped the whole page of dialogue. The guy started laughing at me. He said, you skipped the whole page of dialogue. I said, you fucking kids.
That's the right answer.
And he said to me, you want to start all over again? I said, I'll fuck it up again. And he said to me, so now what do you want to do? I said, what's the name of this show? He said, Eastbound and Down. I said, fuck Eastbound and Down, I'm going to go to Hawaii. Because I wanted to go to Hawaii. And he said, so what are you going to say? I said, what else I wanted to say? I said, I just fucked up the audition. Another one bites the dust. So goodbye, guys. So next day, the phone rings and my agent said, you got the job. That's Eastbound and Down.
That's the attitude you want for that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And well, then you improvise, working with Danny and meeting Will Ferrell. We were in Puerto Rico. I was there for 4 months, and they were laughing, and they said the minute we saw your audition, I was the first one. He said, we decided this is the, and so it was fun to work with those guys.
You should teach an audition seminar. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, seriously. Fuck it.
But then again, I improvised so much. They had a camera on him, camera on me. And then I had a mustache. In the dialogue, Danny Brad says, "I'm gonna shave your mustache." But I asked the makeup people, "Can you give me 2 mustache?" So I kept one in my pocket. And when he said, nobody knew this. And when he said, "I'm gonna shave your mustache," I took one out of that. I said, "I'll always carry 2 with me." So that was it.
I love it. Let's get some questions from the audience. We got any questions for Deep Roy? Any questions? Questions from the audience. Questions from the audience. Questions. There we go. We got one up front. There we go. There's one. There's a question. Think hard, guys. Think hard.
Most difficult makeup that you had to sit through, like.
The most difficult one, Planet of the Apes, 4.5 hours. I get up 1 in the morning, go on the set at 2, get ready by 6:30, and you shoot till 8.
Wow.
But the funny thing was, when I was in Planet of the Apes, they fucked up the shooting schedule because I was doing X-Files. So they were both first shows. So I would do X-Files at night time and come and do Planet of the Apes during daytime. So I never slept for 4 days.
Wow.
And funny thing was, it was my first movie with Tim, and Tim said to me, "Double dipping?" I said, so that was like I didn't sleep for 4 days.
Wait, couldn't you sleep in the makeup chair for,
Well, you couldn't. They just wake you up, and then you're not 2 people making you up, so.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Any other questions? Any other questions for the audience? We got one here. Let's take this guy here. Let's grab this guy over here.
So really quick, were there any roles that you ever passed on that you later saw projects and you regretted?
No regrets, I mean, they asked me to do Lord of the Rings, which I turned it down. And the reason I did, because I saw Peter Jackson, I didn't want to go 18 months to New Zealand. Had I done that, I would have missed Planet of the Apes, I would have done X-Files, I did a big McDonald's commercial. I always didn't want to work with Ron Howard. Did that, and I missed on, I wouldn't have met Tim Burton otherwise.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
We got another one right here.
Yeah?
Hey, Deep, I've got to ask, because they're not going to hear it anywhere else. Can you tell them a little bit about when you partied with President Obama at the White House?
That's a good one. That's a good question right there.
Good one.
I remember, when Tim said, go to the White House. I said, "You what?" He said, the president, So we went to the White House and meeting the president and the first lady and the kids was amazing, and President Obama was such a gracious person. By handshake, you should feel it, you could feel it, and it was a tribute to Tim Burton, all movies, that they wanted to do that. It was a Halloween party. And I was dressed up like an Oompa-Loompa. Yes. Yeah. And I know the president asked the daughters, he said, "Come and meet the Oompa-Loompas." And it was amazing.
Wow.
Okay.
I love that. That's incredible. That's amazing. All right, we got another question from up here.
What character do you get recognized for the most in the streets? Like, what do you recognize the most for?
What I
By
recognize
fans?
most for myself. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously Charlie at the chocolate factory.
Yeah.
So many of them.
How could that not be the most recognizable?
Charlie at the chocolate
It's the
factory.
numbers, Brent.
The numbers game, yeah.
Mathematically.
Star Wars, Star Trek.
Who else we got? Any other questions? I know there's one up here. Yes?
Oh, it's very nice to meet you. I know the gentleman to your right said that he has stolen things from the set, and you have worked on a number of.
No, I haven't stolen anything.
You have worked on a number of iconic films. I mean, Star Wars and this goes on.
No. But the thing is, what happened was on Charlie, they gave me the suit that I wore, three-piece suit. They made it for me, and plus it was three-piece suit, and I got the shoes. I got the whole wardrobe. I didn't steal it. They gave it to me.
You already answered my question. I was going to ask you, was there anything from the movie that you took as a memorabilia? That was my question.
No, that's great.
And anything that you took from a film?
No, I don't. They wouldn't. I wanted the Oompa-Loompa suit so badly, but Warner Brothers wouldn't give it.
Oh, you mean you asked for it and they didn't give it to you?
No, they're all separate.
What's up? Give him the suit.
Give me the suit.
Give the damn suit. Deep Roy, it is such a fucking honor to have you on the show.
Thank you
I
very
love you dearly.